Ago, we would have had quite a headline for our newscast. Salt Lake City firefighters were dealing with the biggest building fire ever in our state. It could be seen all over town. There was one person who was watching it, though, our very own Craig Worth. Hi, Craig.
Howdy. Yes, the giant Saltair resort was burning to the ground. Now, last month we showed you the amazing place that they called the Great Salt Queen, and we said stay tuned for the anniversary of the spectacular fire that finally claimed the one-of-a-kind resort. Well, this is that 50th anniversary of the fire that burned for days in 1970, and it's a story that's worth watching. The low water at the Great Salt Lake has left eerie memories. They stretch across a seemingly endless beach. They are the remains of 7,000 pillars that held up Saltair, a place of grandeur, a place of fun, and a dance floor that once held 10,000 people for Glenn Miller.
The big thing was to go there on a date. Oh, were you ever ritzy and good if you could go there on a date? You were king for a date.
But this is not a story about the grand days. Those were our stories we showed last month. This is about when what they called the Great Salt Queen took her final bow 50 years ago this week. You see, Saltair had closed, and it had a haunted look, and scary low-budget films didn't help that image. There had been ambitious plans to restore it. Former manager Art Teese pleaded with the public in 1967.
For 6 years now, private and organizations have tried to restore the Great Salt Queen. Her 7,000 wooden pilings, once submerged in water, now rot and decay far above the level of the lake.
People who loved the place put their love and labor into it. The thousands of broken windows, the grand roof over what was once the grand ballroom floor. But they had done it before. You see, in 1925, Saltair had burned to the ground, a fire so spectacular that it was shown over and over and over in movie theaters. And it had been rebuilt, but on a stormy November night, exactly a half-century ago, this time it would be different. There would be no more rebuilding. Arsonists lit up the dance floor. It burned for 3 days. There was no water to even try to put it out. But it became quite the show once again. It happened just as television news was really coming on strong. Portable cameras and gutsy young reporters ran onto the crumbling boards over those rotting pillars. My brother Barry was the Channel 4 reporter. He told me maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to do in 1970.
There was a lot of heat, there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of pop and sizzle, but I think just the magnitude of that fire, there was quite an adrenaline rush for the reporters that were covering the fire, and I probably have a little bit of trouble separating the physical reality from the adrenaline rush. It was really an exciting fire to cover.
So just because the lake had receded, the flames grew by the hour and by the day. Reporters were running around the fire all on their own.
The nearest payphone 10 miles away.
Saltair had the dubious honor of being Salt Lake's biggest building blaze and TV news event, all at the same time. There were no live shots then, but reporters didn't need them. You could see the fire from all over town. And thus all that's left from the original Saltair are these old pillars encrusted in salt. Well, out here on the windswept sand of what used to be the Great Salt Lake, we remember a night in November of 1970 when the lake was also way out there. The night when no one could really do anything but watch it all burn. Oh, I remember that. And again, you say, why didn't they just pump water out of the lake? Well, the lake had receded nearly a mile away, and why not drive the fire trucks out to the buildings? they would have fallen through the rotted supports. Oh, and thanks to the Marriott Library and the Utah Historical Society for some of those swell pictures.
Craig, the way you told that story, the wordsmithing and the poetry, it was beautiful, man. Amazing story, very fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.